Bonjour! No, I'm not French. But as you guys can tell by the title of this video, I just wanted to sit down and just rave about the new Beauty and the Beast movie. So this is a movie review, but spoiler alert, it's life changing. I've seen it 3 times. You heard me. Three. One, two, three. I saw it on opening night with some friends. I saw it with my niece and some family on Saturday. And I just got back literally like 30 minutes ago from the theater with another one of my dear friends. And you guys, I want to go again. Obviously, I know that it's not financially responsible to go again, and I probably, unfortunately, will not. But this movie, you guys, I can't even. I'm going to try to control myself and try not to fangirl out too much. And I'm going to refrain from a lot of spoilers, but what could I possibly spoil for you? There's not a super lot of changes from the original movie, so I like that I do have the freedom to talk kind of kind of freely because most people will already know certain things. So if you guys are excited to hear what I thought, then just keep watching. So what I'm going to talk about first is just everybody, like all of the actors and actresses and their performances, because I feel like the main like characters, like the people that are consistent and like the main part of the story, I feel like they need to be talked about because people were concerned about some of the casting. People wondered how it would turn out. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it. So we'll start with Emma Watson. Why not start with Belle? For me, it was hard at first to try and picture her as Belle because for those of us who are diehard Harry Potter fans, she was Hermione. I mean, we're talking 8 movies. We watched this girl. She was Hermione. That's all that I've really ever seen her be is Hermione. And so for me, it was like, okay, she's going to be Belle. I'm going to have to change my mindset. You know, her voice. It's going to take me back to her being Hermione. But you guys, she's killing it. She absolutely killed it as Belle. She is innocent looking, she just has such a beautiful presence about her. She's beautiful. She has a very soft spoken voice. She's very authentic to the era that this movie is based in, and she sings beautifully. Um, there are just so many different facets of her like in the movie that I love, and I know that she added a lot to the Belle character. There's a lot of character development. She's different, but yet the same. The changes that they made to the Belle character are extremely positive. I love them. It's all about like girl power and being brave, and just she's definitely not a damsel in distress. Not that the original Belle was either, because she really wasn't. But I love what Emma Watson brought to the character. Now that I've seen the movie, I can't imagine her. I can't imagine Belle being played by anyone else. I think that she absolutely killed it. I loved it. Um, she's just lovely. She brought such a lovely presence to the role, and I think that she was the perfect choice because for those of us who are a huge Harry Potter fan, Hermione was the smartest girl in the school. She loved her books, and Belle loves her books. So I think that she definitely portrayed that just fantastic. I thought she did a wonderful job. So let's talk Dan Stevens, who plays the Beast slash Prince Adam whenever he transforms at the end. I think that he did a phenomenal job. I know that it couldn't have been easy for him. I know that there was a lot of CGI and things like that for him to be the Beast. Obviously, he does not look like himself. And he is the Beast for 99% of the movie. So for him, it had to be, a difficult thing to perform, to film a scene where he basically was just going to be transformed. He wasn't going to look like himself. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But anyways, I know it couldn't have been easy for him to play Beast. It had to have been hard, and his singing voice is just killer, and I love what he brought to the role. There's a lot of character development for the Beast. He has his own song that has been added, and it's hard to imagine the cartoon without it now because it just everything flows so well. I think he did a wonderful job. I think that as I said, there's a lot of character development. You get a little bit of backstory. I understand his character. I love what he brought to it, and I think that he was sufficiently scary and angry in the beginning. And I loved watching him with Belle. I think that he and Emma Watson make a really, really cute couple after he has changed back into Prince Adam, his human form. He has beautiful eyes. So that was how Belle recognized that it was the same, soul that she had fallen in love with whenever he transformed into a guy, was by looking at his eyes. So I think he did a fantastic job. And for fans of Downton Abbey, I know that he was on there. So, he's British. He was a great choice for the part. I'm so excited that they chose him because he did a fantastic job. So let's talk Gaston. So if you are familiar, obviously, with the story and with the cartoon, Gaston is, he's like the bad guy. He's selfish and he's arrogant and he wants to marry Belle. He is just, he's so egotistical. Like, he is, he's the type of guy that, I mean, in that era it's basically what every woman was, but he's the type of guy who just wanted a girl who would just live to please him, make his meals, raise his children while he just did whatever he wanted. And that is just not what Belle wants. And so I was very excited to see how they would cast Gaston whenever I heard about the movie being made. Luke Evans, man. Luke Evans. I was not super familiar with him prior to this. I know that he was in the Hobbit movies, and I know that he's also been in Fast and Furious 6 and 7, like the last two. But he was the perfect choice. He's tall. He's so handsome, you guys. Oh my goodness, he is so handsome. And he has that commanding, Gaston's like this big old dude and he's like larger than life, and he definitely has that commanding presence about him. His singing voice is fantastic. He even does a little dancing. So I loved it. He was sufficiently, terrifying and sufficiently handsome, sufficiently strong. He killed it, you guys. He absolutely killed it. I think he may be my favorite character. There's some more character development for him as well. It's fantastic. So let's talk about LeFou. Everybody knows LeFou, his little sidekick. LeFou, who wants to be just like Gaston. He's played by Josh Gad. And for me, it was hard whenever I heard that because he was the voice of Olaf in Frozen. So you've heard his voice everywhere, all the time. Even if you don't have kids, like, Frozen blew up the world. So you've heard his voice, you've seen him. And so whenever I first heard that, I was like, oh man, like, they've cast Hermione and Olaf. Like, how am I going to make this, how am I going to differentiate this and really get into the story whenever I'm picturing something else? But he absolutely killed it. He is hilarious. And I think that he did such a good job to, kind of a bit more character development as well. You get to see kind of a little bit more about him and about his life, and he just did a great job. He's like the perfect real life adaptation to the cartoon. He follows Gaston around. He wants to be just like him. He wants to please him, but at the end of the day, he also has a conscience, and so it kind of gives you that, like peer pressure type thing, like torn between what he knows is right, but wanting Gaston's approval. So I think Josh Gad did a great job, and he sings great. Obviously, LeFou is the lead vocal in the song Gaston. Should we sing it? No? No one slick as Gaston. Alright, I'm done. You guys can continue singing it if you want to, but I think he did a great job. So let's go ahead and talk about a couple of the more supporting roles, I guess. Not necessarily, but the enchanted objects in the castle. So the voice of Lumiere and the human version of Lumiere for a brief moment in the movie is Ewan McGregor. And obviously he is extremely talented. He's been in a lot of stuff and he did a fantastic job. I love the way that they animated everybody. They do look different from the original, but it's very accurate. It's the decor of that era, the way that they look, the fact that they live in a castle, they're expensive and they're beautiful and the animation is insane. Lumiere obviously is the instigator kind of in the lead in the Be Our Guest musical number, and that visually, that scene is just stunning. So I think he did a fantastic job. And then the voice of Cogsworth is Ian McKellen. Ian McKellen, Gandalf plays Cogsworth. Like, whenever I heard that, I was like, hold the phone. Like, he's going to kill it. And he did. Not only is he Gandalf, he's also Magneto, if you watch X-Men. He's the, older version of Magneto. And he killed it as Cogsworth. He is fantastic. He's funny. He added, so much like wisdom to the role. I love the way they animated him. I loved it. I thought that he did just a stellar job. And then the voice of Mrs. Potts is Emma Thompson. Yep, that's right, you guys. The voice of Mrs. Potts is Nanny McPhee. I'm looking at my cousin Danny right now because we used to tell another of my younger cousins that if she didn't behave, we were going to call Nanny McPhee, because that movie freaked out all of us, pretty much. So, there you go. I just ruined it for you. The voice of Mrs. Potts is Nanny McPhee. But what really got me is that Emma Thompson also played Professor Trelawney on Harry Potter. So, there's yet another Harry Potter character that I had to, switch my focus. But when I looked at her, I just saw Nanny McPhee. So, I think that I think it's great. I think she did a great job. I love the way that they animated her. She looks different from the original, but yes, she's still the same. And obviously she is the one who sings the iconic Beauty and the Beast song while they're dancing in the ballroom. So I raised the bar pretty high for her, and she totally meant it. So the last character we'll talk about is just Belle's dad, Maurice, played by Kevin Kline. He did a great job. I think that in the original cartoon, they kind of made Maurice seem a bit more crazy. They made him seem kind of like he was really dependent on Belle, and, that he was kind of older. He was getting up there in age, and this version of Maurice is brave, and, he has more spunk, I guess, and he has more sass. And I loved it. I love the way that he portrayed the character. He was a very, very sweet, very loving father. It gives you a bit more backstory on him and Belle's mother, and so you kind of see why he makes the decisions that he does, and there's a lot of depth to his character that I really think that he did a great job. So that is my thoughts on all the characters. As far as all of the songs go, they recreated the old ones just perfectly, just beautifully. They did add a few things, they did change a few lyrics, but it was still it's perfection. I've listened to the soundtrack pretty much nonstop since it came out. I've had it now for 2.5 weeks or so, and you guys, it's stunning. It's wonderful. They did such a good job. And then the new songs that they have added, there's obviously there's the Beast song, and then there's a song that Maurice has a little brief part in singing. There's a song that Belle is a part of, and then the Enchanted Objects do have a little bit of a song. So those are stellar. Those are fantastic. I love it. I think it's wonderful. The, just the background music, the instrumental music, it's amazing. It can work as lullabies. It can work for, just anything, basically. I am addicted to listening to it. It is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I think that my favorite of the new songs would have to be the Beast song, though. It's called Evermore. It's just so in depth. It just gives you such a different perspective on him as a beast, and I thought that it was just genius. I love it. And as far as the set goes and the costumes and everything, I think that everything is it's visually just stunning. As I said, I've seen it 3 times, none of which were in 3D. It did come out in 3D. I did speak to somebody who saw it in 3D, and she said that there were some cool elements, but I think that even without 3D, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. The colors are beautiful. The castle is beautiful. The village is beautiful. Just like I was saying, the enchanted objects in the castle are gorgeous. The rose, it's wonderful. The mix of animation but real sets. It's visually so stunning, and especially during the Be Our Guest number, it's beautiful. I can't even describe it to you guys. It is just so beautiful to look at. It's so beautiful to watch. It's literal magic come to life. It's wonderful. Disney did such a good job. And as far as, the story, I've been talking about it as though you guys are familiar with the story. I'm sure that you are, but if for whatever reason you're not, the story is Belle is around 18 years old. She is strong, she's independent, she's the only girl in the village who can read, and because of that, people think she's weird. She likes to read books, and the rest of the girls in the village are not allowed to go to school. You know, they're not allowed a lot of privileges. They're looked down upon, kind of. That was just kind of the era that she was in, and she lives, as I said, with her dad. And it does give you some backstory on what happened to her mom, but through some circumstances, she finds herself a prisoner in a castle that nobody can remember. A castle that was cursed by an enchantress when a young and selfish prince turned her away. So it's kind of like Belle bringing new life back into the castle, and it's the story of how she and the Beast, they do fall in love because there is a man under that cursed facade, and she can see right through it. So I loved the way that it was brought to life. They stuck to the original in a lot of ways. They definitely didn't cut out anything integral. They didn't cut out any of your favorite moments, but they also added some really beautiful, just beautiful moments. And they answered a lot of your questions, as I said. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but they did kind of explain to you, like, why does nobody remember that there was royalty, like, right outside the village? And it kind of explains, like, the curse on the castle, and it kind of explains all of that stuff. So it's a more, I don't know what the word is, like, it's just a more deep telling of the story. And with it being a musical, it's amazing. It's not the type of musical where you're like, are we gonna sing some more? It's not like that at all. Everything flows really beautifully, and everybody has such great chemistry on screen, and I think that everyone will love it. I mean, whether you were like a huge fan of the original, no matter what age you are, or the age you were when the original came out. For me, it came out, as I was like a little child, and so for our generation, this is what we've been waiting for forever. They did remake Cinderella 2 years ago, and Cinderella's like, that's my movie. Like, that's my favorite movie of all time. So when they remade it live, I was super excited, and that was a great movie. It really was. But it was very, very different from the original. It wasn't a musical, and so it was kind of just like a reimagined version, whereas this is literally like they just took the cartoon like scene for scene and they just brought it to life. And a lot of people are complaining because they're like, there's nothing new and original. But for me, like, that's what I wanted. I wanted the same story. I just wanted to see it brought to life and modernized a little bit, with new technology, and just make it real for me. You guys, just make it real. So that is probably all that I should say about it. I've been talking about this movie for 17 minutes. But if you haven't seen it, go right now. Like, get in your car and go to the theater with like 10 of your friends or your family. Like, as far as like taking children goes, there are a couple of really like intense scenes, like with the wolves, as you guys know from the cartoon. There are the wolves, and there are, the Beast. He's kind of scary. He's angry and he yells and stuff in the beginning. We did take my 3-year-old niece, and she did well. She didn't really like the wolves, but everything else she was really good with. So, just kind of know your own kids. If they're going to get freaked out by it, maybe wait till the DVD. But anybody who loved the original, go see it. Seriously, go see it. It's the most beautiful movie, and everyone that I have spoken to that has seen it agrees. So let's talk about it. If you guys have any questions that aren't going to give away spoilers, definitely leave them for me down below. And if you guys have seen it, let's chat, let's talk about it, let's fangirl out, I would love to hear your thoughts. And for a Disney buff like me, it was perfection. I'm in love. I can't wait to see it again. I have seen it 3 times. Like I said, I'm not tired of it. I want to go see it again. So let's talk. Let's fuel my obsession with this movie by chatting about it. And I hope that you guys will stick around and subscribe. I do post quite a bit of Disney related content, so if that's something that you're interested in, I would love to have you be a part of my subscriber family. Thank you guys so much for watching and for listening to me. I'm going to leave a link down below where you can get this dress. This is the Beauty and the Beast collection from Kohl's, so if anybody was wondering, it is imagined after Bella's blue dress that she wears in the beginning of the movie. So that's it. Au revoir!